And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week. It's Labor Day weekend and the unofficial end of summer, a tough time of year for me. And the president of the AFL-CIO on the precursor to Labor Day weekend is warning the Democratic candidates for president not to take the vote of organized labor for granted. A perhaps ominous warning to some of those far-left Democrats. And as the Democrats stage for the next debate gets set, the winnowing process, as predicted right here, is underway. Senator Kristen Gillibrand dropping out. The Hillary 2 of the 2020 field didn't quite get to where she thought she might be. And as you look at the setting of that Democratic stage, look who's on it and look who's out, because Comrade de Blasio is out, but so are all of the so-called moderate candidates, unless you still lump Joe Biden into that group. Hickenlooper's out of the race completely. Bennett, Bullock, Delaney, Ryan, none of them qualified for the main stage at the next debate, which means that the discussion is going to be the hard left of the Democratic Party. That doesn't augur well for them, because that simply isn't where most of America is. What all that means, of course, is that who's left are the vanity candidates. I mean, folks that frankly know that they're not going to be the eventual nominee of the party. They're going to hang in there for reasons of ego or finances, because running for president can be pretty good financially, or seeking some other office or a cabinet position in a future Democratic administration or whatever. But they know that they're not serious candidates at this point. And speaking of vanity candidates, how about Tom Steyer, the guy who made his money in fossil fuels but now wants to tell us that global warming is the greatest threat to the existence of mankind? He has spent $325,000 per day on advertising and hasn't gotten to a level that even qualifies him to step onto the stage of the great debate. Whether or not he can remains to be seen. When you spend that kind of money, eventually you cut through, you would think, to the most minimal levels required to get onto the main stage. But right now he's lumped in with the vanity candidates. And while the national polls are interesting, what really is much more instructive at this point are the state-by-state polls, most notably the early primary states and early caucus states, and in particular, Iowa. I've said all along that if Joe Biden stumbles in Iowa, it's a brand new ballgame. And the person to watch there, unfortunately, in my judgment, is Elizabeth Warren, who, as she has crept slowly up and up and up and up in the national polls, is mirroring that in Iowa, but more important, has created an incredible ground game, a tremendously successful organization thus far. And in a caucus state, when you're trying to pull people out in a frozen night in January, it really is important to have a strong organization. It appears that Warren has, at least at this juncture, the best in Iowa. Something to look forward to. And Elizabeth Warren is every bit as much a socialist as Bernie Sanders. She just cloaks it in different language. Whereas Sanders is more confiscatory in nature, Warren is more regulatory, but they get to the same spot where big government is ordering not only the economy, but individual lives, something that most Americans simply won't stand for. And I know that we're going to hear repeated often in 2020, America will never be a socialist country. And finally, as we celebrate Labor Day, something to watch is what's going on in Hong Kong, because the big demonstration there scheduled for Saturday has been canceled on orders of the Chinese government as they've moved in troops and equipment that's, essentially there to suppress any quote-unquote riot that happens to occur, but it's really the demonstrations that they want to suppress. And the real possibility, God forbid, of bloodshed now exists over there. If that happens over the weekend, it's going to have a significant impact potentially, not only on trade talks, but on the markets worldwide. Our markets will be closed Monday in observance of Labor Day, so it'll be something to watch early next week. Let's pray that things are peaceful in Hong Kong over the weekend, but it certainly is an emerging situation where the Chinese government is cracking down harder and harder and harder on a growing number of freedom-loving, freedom-seeking students, younger people, but also older folks now who are against the repressive Chinese Communist government. One final thought, Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, as we're filming this, celebrates his 89th birthday. May have a whole lot more. And for all of you, a wonderful holiday weekend, because that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.
you.